Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and welcome to our 2017 NFL season preview for the Detroit Lions. Now here's a look at what we have on tap for this preview. We will take a look at both sides of the ball in our offensive and defensive overview. We will also give you a reason for optimism as well as a cause for concern. And we will give you a breakout candidate who is an underrated player that'll end up playing a huge role this season. But first, let's take a look at some of the big storylines heading into the season as we get things kicked off in our 4-minute offense. Matthew Stafford is coming off, at least in my opinion, his best season as a pro. He played with more efficiency and stepped up major in the fourth quarter, which was evident by his league-leading 8 fourth-quarter comebacks. The 28-year-old quarterback has finally settled into the finer nuances of the position and looks to be entering his prime at the right height, which means better things are to come for the Lions. Last season, the Lions were 30th in running the football, averaging only 81 yards a game. It's not like they don't have the talent. Amir Abdullah, Theo Riddick, and Zach Zenner are talented runners, but each one dealt with some sort of injury last season or some bout of inconsistency, which more than likely contributed to their lack of sustained success. The hope is that this year, all three can stay healthy and help balance out the offense. Defensive coordinator Terrell Austin has quietly built a respectable unit in Detroit. Since coming over from Baltimore in 2014, Austin has slowly gotten the Lions better on that side of the ball, so much so that he's been interviewed for a few head coaching vacancies. This year, the defense looks a bit more athletic and versatile, which could yield the best results since he's been here. And speaking of another coach, head coach Jim Caldwell seems to never get the respect from some Lions fans and some Lions media, but all he has done is gotten the Lions to the playoffs 2 out of the 3 years he's been here. The one thing you also can't say about a Jim Caldwell coach Lions squad is that they're dull. The Lions seem to thrive in late game situations and tend to come out on the positive side each and every time. The Lion faithful got themselves a good one in Caldwell, and he'll definitely keep them competitive and in the thick of the NFC North division as long as he's in charge. Right now, everyone's record is at 0-0, and every fan is excited about the 2017 season, and every coach feels as though that this year's team has the right mix of everything to push them over the top. Well, here's why you should be optimistic about the 2017 season. I think you have to be optimistic about the Lions' offensive line. In my opinion, this group got better as the year went on and now enter 2017 with both depth and talent, despite losing a guy of the caliber of Larry Walford up front. Look for this to be a major strength for Detroit. Matthew Stafford is another reason to be optimistic. Last year was really impressive to me. I got the chance to see the Lions live versus the New York Giants and came away with the feeling that they have their guy that can ultimately get them to where they want to be. Stafford has the toughness and the it factor to win games in the fourth quarter. Detroit knocked their draft out of the park, especially on the defensive side of the ball, with guys like linebacker Jarrad Davis out of Florida and his teammate defensive back Jalen Tabor and cornerback Jamal Agnew out of San Diego. Those young studs have a chance to make a significant impact this season as rookies. The secondary is another place where you can be optimistic because of the additions of Tabor and Agnew to go along with Darius Slay, Nevin Lawson, Glover Quinn, and Tavon Wilson. Detroit has a lot to be optimistic about on the back end. The cause for concern is in the backfield on offense. The Lions can't afford a repeat of last season's production or lack thereof from the backfield. Like I've said before, the talent is there, but they have to start producing big time. The other concern is the pass rush. That's an area where the Lions struggled last season. They were dealt another big blow this offseason with the loss of Kerry Hyder in the preseason. The reason why the passing numbers look the way they do is because they couldn't generate much pressure on the quarterback. And if that happens again, the defense will have problems getting off the field. Every year there's a player on the team that enters the season on the bubble. Maybe he's buried on the depth chart or he's an afterthought, but they end up playing a big role on the team by the season's end. So without further ado, here's my pick for the offensive and defensive breakout candidate. Kenny Golladay showed up and showed out in his first preseason game. The third-round pick out of Northern Illinois made a good impression on fans and coaches alike. Matt Stafford loves a tall target with the ability to play above the rim, and he definitely has that in Golladay. Last year's fifth-round pick linebacker Antoine Williams is penciled in as a starter and is primed for a breakout season. Williams can play all three linebacker spots and doesn't have to leave the field, as he's able to excel on both ends of defense. His versatility and flexibility are key to have in today's game. All right, it's prediction time. So here's how I think the 2017 season will play out. The road to the Super Bowl for the Lions goes as follows. Number one, that running game has to become competent. If they can balance out the offense, this offense will be very tough to defend week in, week out. And the secondary has to do a better job of turning the ball over. They didn't get their hands on a lot of passes last season. If they can come away with those interceptions and adding playmakers like Agnew and Tabor definitely increases their chances, they'll put the ball back in the hands of that explosive offense. And that pass rush really has to awaken. They need guys like Ziggy Ansah to step up big time and live up to where he was drafted as the 5th overall pick. But if he can do that, and if they can find ways to get to the quarterback, then I can believe their secondary will find a way to get the ball back, and they will ultimately end up playing in Minneapolis in February. I have the Lions finishing second in the NFC North. This team will be very good defensively. I think they will start to find a way to get to the quarterback, and if their running game finds that balance, then they can finally knock off the Green Bay Packers. But right now, they'll hover around that 9-win total like they did last season. So that's a wrap for this video. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts as you see listed. And if you want to check out our NFL season previews, as you already should, visit our website at footballgameplan.com/2017 NFL previews. And then finally, don't forget to subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast, where you can find all of our NFL shows like the Football Cypher, where we will go more in depth with the 2017 Detroit Lions. To find that podcast and our other podcasts, you can visit our website at footballgameplan.com/podcast or on our SoundCloud page at soundcloud.com/FBGP podcast.